Welcome to another Perfect League World Series, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2045 iteration of it. We have got perhaps our best matchup that we've had this game cycle. Perhaps our best one. And I can't wait to get into it with all of you guys. Thank you guys for jumping in already here tonight. Yeah, it's a doozy, Dishnet. It's a doozy. Dishnet asking if this really the best matchup? This really the best one? It might be. It might be, and I'll tell you why here in just a minute. But first, let's explain what this show is. So this show is the viewing, the play-by-play of the Perfect League World Series. What is the Perfect League? That is the very highest level of competitive play in Out of the Park 22's ladder system, their main league play. You rise from rookie level. You rise all the way on up to Perfect League. I think there's 7 or 8 or 9 tiers in between. And there are only 40 people in any given week that can say that they are in the Perfect League. And we are watching the 2 of those 40 that have made it to this stage here tonight. And I'm very excited for it. There's going to be opportunities too. So we've got the new concept this week. Not this week, last week too, but we've got a new concept. A concept called the hot seat. And what is the hot seat? The hot seat is an opportunity for you to win some serious perfect point coin. And all you need to do is be present. That's it. All you need to do is be here and be lucky enough to be a random winner. And perhaps one of the 7 games we'll see tonight, you will be in that hot seat. And what happens when you're there? Well, if there happens to be a home run on your particular game, then you will earn 10,000 points. If there happens to be a second home run on your particular game, you will get another 10,000 points, and on and on and on and on. And if you just happen to be so blessed to have a Coors Field-like 7, 8, 9, 10 home run game, you are getting an uncapped amount of perfect points for it. So definitely stay tuned for that. We'll open up that drawing here in just a quick, short minute. But before we do that, I want to do what I'll call the weekend roll call. Now, we've done this informally in the past, where I've asked you what you guys did over the weekend, what's good in your life, what's happening that makes you smile. And I want to see everyone. We've got 37 people in chat right now, and I want you to just throw something in the chat right now about what you did this weekend that was fun, what's on your mind, what are you happy about, what made this weekend a good weekend, what's going to recharge you for the week to come that might include some less fun moments of having to go back to work or having to do things you don't want to do. So let's do a little weekend roll call here. What did you guys get into this weekend that was fun and worthwhile? Did you watch some NFL football? You know, I'm wearing my Bears jersey right now. It was the home opener. Bears came out on top over the Cincinnati Bengals. Got a little too close for comfort, but that was fun. Had the family all dressed up in Bears gear, and that is my little warm nugget for you guys. It was fun for the home opener for the Bears to get everyone dressed up, have a big to-do here at the house. We've got Zagasmic here playing basketball with his 5-year-old, now grilling. How about that? That's awesome. Watching NFL Red Zone all day for Landmark MKE. Love that. If the MKE stands for Milwaukee, I actually just got back from Milwaukee. Went to the Brewers game last night with some other Out of the Park members. That was a blast. Made a wrong turn into West Virginia on Thursday. Just got home today for CF Genesis. How about that? But good stuff. Yeah, litter up that chat with what's good in your life. I like hearing about that. We don't need to just be focused on the games. The games will come. The games will go. But what makes this stream tick are you guys here in the chat and the love and support you guys bring to it. Speaking of love and support, do note in the bottom left corner we have our subscriber goal. So it is absolutely my number one ambition with this program to make it sustainable so that I can continue to bring this to you every Sunday for the rest of the game cycle and into next game cycle. But we're going to need to cross some T's and dot some I's to do so. The subscription goal is going to be one part of that. So if you enjoy what you watch here on Sunday nights, if you want this to continue, the best way to make sure that is going to be so is to show your love to the channel. Either subscribing yourself, gifting subscriptions to others, throwing bits in there. Anything works and everything helps, and I very much appreciate it. And look at Dishnet. Dishnet, my man, off the top rope. 10 gifted subscriptions going out to Mike ABC, Mr. Audit, Cadis SL, Lenny Ruiz, Joe A 1010, Repatis, Chuck Legends, Port Dog, Old and Slow. Dishnet, you don't have to do that, but I very, very, very much appreciate it, and that's going to get us there. Now, I walked into the stream 38% of the goal, and now we're a lot closer than that, but thank you guys so much. It is awesome, and I very much appreciate it, and I love doing this and want to keep being able to do so. What else? Let's get to some team previews. So who's playing tonight? Who is playing that is so compelling that I might say it's the best matchup we've had all game cycle? Well, let's find out. We'll load up this sim. This is the dead sim, the off day in between. And here it is. Here's the picture. So we have got Maine Whiskey Tango going up against the Detroit Fury. Now, for anyone wondering why Detroit Fury sounds so darn familiar, it's because they won last week. The Detroit Fury, DLL, are the reigning champion of Perfect League. And they are here tonight, vying to become our first repeat champion of the game cycle. Has not happened this year. It only happened once last year, and it was MacJax who did it. And so that is probably the headliner for tonight's matchup is, will the Fury go back-to-back? Now, on the other side here, we don't have a slouch. We don't have someone that we've never heard of. We don't have someone who just picked up the game 7 weeks ago and speed ran their way to the finals. No, we have Maine Whiskey Tango, a force in PT21, a force here in PT22. If you are looking at the bottom right corner, you will see a standings of the all-time Perfect League wins list. Who's at the top? Detroit Fury. Who is at 7th? Maine Whiskey Tango. So we have Perfect League royalty battling and squaring off against one another here tonight. And this is for PT22. If you look back to PT21, both of these teams were at the top of the list too. Maine Whiskey Tango, shoot, they beat me in a Perfect League World Series last year, and I'm still salty about it. I have not gotten over that yet, but I'm working towards that goal. Mike ABC, thanks so much for gifting out 5 more subscriptions. You are the man. Seagram99, DJ Pop. I'm not even going to try the rest of that. Gabagoo Luigi, DC Cubs 44, Fishfly 66. Thanks to you all. Welcome into the clubhouse. Hope you will get comfortable and stick around for a good bit of time, all the way up to 92 subs on the sub goal. So you guys rocking and rolling. Very much appreciate it. So Maine Whiskey Tango, Detroit Fury. Who do we start with? Let's take a look at Maine Whiskey Tango first. Again, champion in PT21, not yet a champion in PT22. Let's see what his build looks like this week. We start with runs scored, and whoa, look at that, guys. This team does not score a ton of runs. 734 on the season, which is not a horrible metric, but 15th in the conference. That's very low. But you contextualize that against the runs allowed, 672, second in the conference. So we have a team that doesn't score a ton, but doesn't give up anything. Nearly the best runs allowed within the entire conference, and there's a couple different reasons why. The first of which is a defense that can absolutely pick it. Look at this. Defensive efficiency of .698, second in the conference. Zone rating a plus 28.3. Stacking up zone rating like an IHOP chef stacking pancakes on a Sunday morning right before breakfast rush. Now, as we look at the home road split, at home 47 and 34. So not quite a 50-win season at home, but knocking on the door. And then on the road, trading paint, 40 and 41, just one game under 500. So you're looking at a season that only resulted in an 87-win campaign. But one thing that I'm noticing is that Perfect League is getting very, very tight. The margins are getting very, very thin. An 87-win week now, I would compare that to a 92-win week maybe 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, when there was more disparity between Team 1 and Team 40. Now we are seeing some pretty tight wildcard races. We are seeing some exciting Saturdays that can go any which way. Maine Whiskey Tango actually had a rough Saturday. As you see with the 10-18 record in September, you combine that with October, it's 10-19. But they had built up and amassed enough wins for that not to matter, and for them to be able to lose their division lead, but back in as a wild card team. Typically, or really mostly on the back of that July, that 19-6 July and the 17-11 May were really the power months that got them there. Extreme API, thank you guys both in the chat for the support. You guys rock. And let's roll here onto looking at the ballpark for Maine Whiskey Tango. So we've got one that we haven't really seen many that fit this archetype on these broadcasts in the past. We have not really seen overly nerfed parks. And while the average here is neutral, so the batting average for both lefties and righties is going to play as it would in a completely neutral ballpark, the doubles are completely gutted. They go down from 1.0 to 0.5. And the home runs completely nerfed as well, down to 0.9. So this stadium is going to play very much like a pitcher's park. It's a lot of singles and not a ton of doubles, not a ton of triples, and very few home runs. And that is how Maine Whiskey Tango has built their team for battle this week. Now let's look at how they have built that team. So in that build, what kinds of players do you think you would prioritize? Well, if all that you're going to see typically is singles, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have some guys that can steal some bases. Wouldn't be a bad idea to have some guys that can get base hits, hit for a decent batting average, and then once they get those base hits, do something with it. And we see right at the top of the lineup here, Deacon White, a card that we've talked about a good bit on these streams, and really that of a singles hitter. A singles hitter that you're going to platoon, you're going to bat him against right-hand pitching, and when he gets on base, he's going to steal more. Deacon White picking up 61 steals for Maine Whiskey Tango this year, and as you progress down this lineup, you're going to see a recurring theme. You're going to see stolen base capability. We've got George Davis who can swipe him, Willie Keeler who can swipe him, Jim O'Rourke, Joe Morgan, and then we've got a nice singles hitter in Richie Ashburn here. Not as much of a base stealer, but someone who still fits the park here in the ability to drop some singles around the park and then also get on base a good bit with his eye. Jim O'Rourke, also a big piece of this build. One of the newer cards, a very good-looking card here. And while you've got 80 in the power category, that's not quite a value that's going to drive a ton of power over the fence. And eye at 72, also not a ton there. So you're really relying on him to turn his singles into doubles, into triples, and leverage that base stealing capability. And he did that for Maine Whiskey Tango this week. 75 stolen bases for Jim O'Rourke. Let's look at the pitching. First thing I like to do is look at the innings pitched because game starts can be a little bit deceiving. And we see that Epirixie was really the horse of the Maine Whiskey Tango. 240 innings pitched. A ton more than any of his teammates. And Epirixie really did well with that responsibility. 3.66 ERA, a 3.98 FIP, a 4+ WAR season as the head of that rotation. Now, the rest of the rotation was made up with Brandon Webb, Felix Hernandez, John Smoltz, and it appears Johan Santana. All of them over 130 innings pitched, ranging up to 186. And Hype Train in the chat. You guys rock. You guys rock. All right, get back to the bullpen here. So we know that the park is definitely playing into Maine Whiskey Tango's favor, but look at some of the ERAs we're seeing in this bullpen. We have Jose Rijo under 2. We've got Wainwright under 2.5. Mike Flanagan under 3. So within this ballpark, once that starter's out of the game, very difficult to push across runs against Maine Whiskey Tango and Sparrow. Now let's look at Maine Whiskey Tango's path. How did they get to this point? Well, they took out the Washington Generals in the first round. The Washington Generals, actually the team that leveraged my bad Saturday into stealing the division from me, relegating me to a wild card berth. But 3-2 in that series. There, the series going the distance, going to a deciding Game 5, and Maine Whiskey Tango coming out on top. Then in round 2, taking on Jeju United, who's now had 3 consecutive weeks in Perfect League, all amassing over 90 wins. Tough team there. 4-2 Maine Whiskey Tango prevails. And then we go to the semis, and the Gonzaga Bulldogs there fall 4-2 as well. So Maine Whiskey Tango has faced one elimination game. They came out on top and have been able to get their series done in 6 in each subsequent series. Now, let's talk history. So I've already made mention of the PT21 history, Sparrow a champion then, but he's not a champion yet this game cycle. This is his 3rd trip to Perfect. This is his 8th week within the Perfect League, his 6th time making the playoffs, still looking for that first World Series. Will it come tonight? We will find out shortly. Now let's hop over to the other sideline. The Detroit Fury. So anyone who watched the broadcast last week will find that much of what we said then is still true now. We'll go with the high-level team stats first. So run scoring, 803. A good 60 runs more than Maine. 3rd in the conference. Runs allowed, 686. 4th in the conference. So a run differential well over 100 runs there. And then on the defensive side of the house, not stacking the ZR quite like Maine is, but doing pretty good with the defensive efficiency at .696. Just a .002 difference from that and Maine. Now home road split. We've got a 48 win season at home, so 1 more than Maine Whiskey. We've got a 41 season on the road, also 1 more. So these teams from a home road perspective, both performing very similarly, winning roughly 60% at home, and then Trading Paint winning 50% on the road. From a calendar perspective, it was a very consistent year for the Fury. It was just about being 1 or 2 games over 500 in every given month, with the one exception being May, when he was able to stack up an 18-win month then, which was the primary driver in their overall record being where it was. No down months, which is impressive to see because typically the way these Perfect League calendars are made, it is inevitable that you have 1 month where you are just on the road the entire darn month. You might have 7 road series and 2 home series in a given month. And so the reason when we look at these calendars that you typically see it's very up and down, very roller coastery, is not necessarily that the team is performing up and down, but it's just the natural challenges of playing on the road versus the natural booster of playing at home. And Doc and his Detroit Fury able to weather those ups and downs this calendar year and have every month being one where they were over 500. Let's talk about the players. And again, everything we said last week still true this week. We've got a very whaley build here that includes tournament SEs like John McGraw, like Paul Hines, the PTCS award in Frank Robinson. We've also got some elite packables like Roger Connor, Richie Ashburn. And then we've got we got Ozzie Smith here too. How about that? Ozzie Smith actually playing more games this year than he did last season. And then Willie Keeler down at the bottom of the lineup. A team and a lineup construct very much leaning into the platoon ability. Now let's talk pitching. Now, dissimilar to the Maine Whiskey Tango, we don't see a pitcher over 200 innings pitched. We don't see one horse who was relied upon for 36 starts this year. Should I say 36 legitimate starts. We do have a pitcher with 36 starts, and that's Eparixi. But he is being deployed as a reliever and as an opener for the most part to make up his 105 innings pitched there, and he was downright dynamic in that role. 2.64 ERA, 2.91 on the FIP, a 3-WAR season in 105 innings pitched. So Doc deploying the best pitcher in the game strategically, not throwing him out there 240 innings, but rather getting 105 elite innings with him and using him to set up the rest of his pitchers to be more successful. And successful they were. We see Smoltz, Hershiser, Felix Hernandez, Vida Blue, Eddie Plank, all with great seasons. Now let's talk about the path. How did the Fury get to this point? Well, they had a tough round 1 matchup versus the Las Vegas White Tigers. They do come out ahead, come out in 5, and then move on to face the Long Island Ducks of TBD. They're able to take that series 4-2, and then they go to the conference semis. And there is where they face their toughest test yet. Going up against the Flagstaff 49ers, managed by Red Sox Curse, they had to win Game 6 and Game 7 as they were down in that series 3-2. Did so, and now come out ahead and are in the World Series. So those are our 2 teams, guys. Maine Whiskey Tango and Detroit Fury. I don't have the straw poll set up as the site that I was using for that isn't working anymore. I know Dishnote told me to use the poll feature within the chat. We'll do that another time. But for now, who do you think is going to win? Put it in the chat. Fury or Tango? Who is going to win this one? Walnut wants us to cover PT21's World Series. You must be in that. Still a shocker. Still a shocker. All right, let's get to Game 1. Let us get to Game 1 and get this baby started. But before we do so, we are going to need to get a couple of hot seat members. We need to draw 2 hot seat winners. So let me go and get Stream Elements rocking and rolling there. So get prepared to type !ticket within the chat. And that giveaway is now open. There we go. So we'll let that spin for a minute, get everyone involved in, then draw a couple of winners. And again, if you are a winner, you will be assigned either Game 1 or Game 2. And then for every home run hit within that game, you will earn 10,000 perfect points. !ticket. We're going to be drawing our winner here in about 30 seconds. Not even. So this series is going to start out in Docks Stadium. The Detroit Fury do have home field advantage in this one. A couple of wild card teams. All right, we'll close the giveaway in 3, 2, and 1. And our Game 1 winner, Game 1 hot seat contestant is Castanar. Game 2 hot seat contestant is 4-score-4. So Castanar and 4-score-4. Let's go ahead and get that updated. As Castanar is sitting in the hot seat here and now. There you go. You should see your name at the top left corner of the screen as we get started. Rigged. I love it. Run any giveaway, and you're going to hear it was rigged. And frankly, you're not wrong. All right, here we go. We've got Vita Blue on the hill for the Detroit Fury. He'll start against a lineup here that has 8 hitters that will bat right-handed. The one same-side hitter is going to be Willie Keeler at DH. So Jim O'Rourke of Maine Whiskey Tango will get us started. The pitch, little fly ball, center field, playable. Ranging over is Ashburn. He'll make the grab. That's 1 up and 1 down. And with that, the 2045 Perfect League World Series is underway. We go to the bottom of the second, and we've got our first real rally. Here we've got Joe Morgan, an icy cold Joe Morgan, facing off against Maine Whiskey Tango's Felix Hernandez. So the Fury in position to strike first here in Game 1. Wind and the pitch. Ground ball to first. Playable. He grabs it, takes it to the bag himself, throws on to second. Not in time, so a couple runners do move up. Retired at first is Morgan. Or was he? Takes the sure out at first. Okay. So normally, Normally when the runner is out here in these sim videos, they disappear, right? The ground ball to shortstop, they throw it to first. The moment the first baseman catches it, the runner disappears. Joe Morgan has not disappeared. He's sitting out on first base right now. But the live play-by-play text seems to indicate that Morgan is out. We'll see what happens on the other side of this click. That is indeed the case, and so now this rally falls to the hands of Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith, not known for his hitting, but this is a pretty clutch moment here early in Game 1, and I think it's a great time to bust out our matchup analyzer. Let's get to Felix Hernandez and see how well he does against left-handed hitters. And then let's also get to Ozzie Smith and see how well he does against right-handed pitching. And what we're going to find out is that Felix isn't great versus lefties, and Ozzie isn't great versus righties. Now, where Ozzie does hold his own is in the batting average department. Actually above perfect league average, which is actually hard to believe based on his backup card ratings. But Ozzie Smith at 268, and that's exactly what the Fury are looking for here. Any kind of little duck snort single likely is going to plate too. Felix comes set, delivers, little grounder to third, going to be a tough play. On over, because not able to make the throw. That is an infield single for Ozzie Smith, as Buddy Bell picked the ball, but was unable to get it out of his glove to throw it on over to first. So that's going to be an infield single, an RBI single for Ozzie Smith, and the Fury lead now 1-0. Next batter up, Willie Keeler. Ozzie Smith has gone ahead and stolen second base, and now Keeler bats with 2 on and 2 out. Ahead in the count, 2-0. The pitch to Keeler. Keeler lines this one to left field. Scoring easily is Vaughn. Around third is Ozzie. He's going to try to score the throw. Not in time. A 2 RBI single to the opposite field for Willie Keeler. Makes it 3-0 Fury here early in Game 1. Oh, baby. Whiplash time. We have flown to the 8th inning. In the process, we picked up a couple of off-camera runs. When we last left you, it was 3-0 Fury. It is now 5-0 Fury. And they are batting here, looking to pad their juicy 5-run lead in the bottom of the 8th. Into this game for the Maine Whiskey Tango is Johan Santana. He'll be facing off against Jackie Robinson. The pitch, and Jackie crushes this one deep to right center. That ball's gonna get down. Jackie around first on his way to second. Gets to second, doesn't stop there. The throw to third, not in time. A leadoff single for Jackie. Greeting Johan Santana rather rudely here in the 8th inning with a leadoff triple. Now it appears that he scores as well in off-camera form and fashion. It is now 6-0 Fury, and we have now shifted to the top of the 9th inning. And they are 1 strike away from putting the finishing touches on a shutout in game number 1. Adam Wainwright into this game. He'll face Carl Yastrzemski. Let's get one more use out of our matchup analyzer here before this game's over. We'll go Adam Wainwright versus left. We'll go Carl Yastrzemski versus right. We've got a full count here. Al Kaline on first base. The pitch. Grounded to first. He grabs it, takes it to the bag, and that's going to do it. The Detroit Fury win Game 1 in a whiteout 6-0 victory. Maine Whiskey Tango, despite 5 hits, unable to scratch across any runs, will head into Game 2 looking for their first victory and also their first run of the series. Let's take a look at the box score as the fireworks go off behind the left center field bleachers. We need to check for home runs here. We have 3 off-camera runs. I'm almost certain an off-camera run would never be a home run, but we'll check for the benefit of Castanar. We'll also update our score display with familiar text. Our score display said Fury 4 times last week. I'm sure Doc would love nothing more than another 4 times this week. And as we look at the box score, there were indeed no home runs in this game. So, sorry, Charlie, for Castanar. No perfect point reward. You might need to file a complaint with Maine Whiskey Tango and Doc for having these homer-nerfed stadiums. As we look at the pitching, we have Detroit Fury rocking a same-side opener. We go Vida Blue into Epa Rixey. And both of them were downright fantastic. Vida Blue going 2 shutout innings before giving over to Rixey, who goes 6 2/3 of shutout ball as well. Adam Wainwright coming in for the finishing touch. On the other side of the box score, we have Felix Hernandez having a rough day. Felix Hernandez struggled with his command, struggled to keep the ball from landing in pasture, giving up 7 hits, 4 walks, and only 6 innings. Unfortunately for him and his team, 5 earned runs in the process as well, before handing over to Johan Santana, who had to get through 2 innings, but needed 46 pitches to do so. So Santana, all but certain to not be involved in game number 2, might not even be fully rested for game number 3. So as we set up what is to come, the game 2 probable pitchers here are Brandon Webb for Maine Whiskey Tango and Eddie Plank for the Detroit Fury. Both of them rocking stellar postseason ERAs. Brandon Webb at 2.37, Eddie Plank at 1.35. Let's see what those performances have looked like to this point. So Eddie Plank does have 1 follow. Wasn't a start, it was a follow. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 1 earned run against the White Tigers, and then had 2 opens in the Flagstaff series. And both of those opens being successful, 2/3 of an inning, no earned runs. Castanar, a good sport in the chat, doesn't seem too sour about walking away with nothing but his name on the screen here. Speaking of names on the screen, let's go ahead and get 4score4 up there for this next sim. The Whiskey Tango looking for their first run. Maybe they find it via the long ball. And 4score4 will be 10,000 perfect points richer for the trouble. All right, here we go, guys. We have got Matt Harvey on the mound for the Fury. Now, Matt Harvey is staring at a lineup card for the Tango squad here that has a ton of lefties on it. 7 lefties and 1 switch hitter that will bat left-handed. Only 1 same-side hitter in O'Rourke. Using our matchup analyzer, let's see how Matt Harvey has done as a starter. There are Matt Harvey's numbers. What you see when you look at them is he's right around league average. His ERA right there, whip. K per 9's a little low, but homer per 9 also a little lower than league average, which boils... Oh, I'm sorry, I've got Matt Morris here. I need Matt Harvey. That's a misclick. Here with Matt Harvey, we actually don't see too much of a different story here. Matt Harvey is even closer to league average. He's dead on it with ERA. Only a point off of it for whip. Strikes out a little bit more, walks a little bit less, and home runs are right on it as well. So Matt Harvey will start with Deacon White. He'll get this game started. Maine Whiskey Tango looking to even the series, looking to steal home field advantage before we head on north to Maine. Deacon White grounded to second, 1 up and 1 down. Easy play for Joe Morgan despite wearing the snowflake. able to range to his right, field it, and throw it in the same motion, and get this game underway. Next batter up, we have George Davis. Now, George Davis, a new card in this game. A card that'll cost you a pretty penny, as George Davis brings something to the table that not a lot of third basemen do. He's a switch-hitting hitter with a pretty strong bat versus right-handed pitching. He is an elite glove at the hot corner, and he can also steal bases. So quite the combination. There's not a ton of them in play, but Maine Whiskey Tango bringing one to this knife fight here tonight. Down on the count, 1-2. Harvey delivers, and this one is rifled into right center field. That's going for extras. Davis rounds first. He'll get to second. He is not stopping there. On his way to third, the relay, not in time. A one-out triple for George Davis of the Tango. An early scoring opportunity for Maine. Next up, Arky Vaughn. He's got a full count here. Now, the Detroit Fury infield is deep. They are conceding the run if Arky were able to put this ball on the ground. Let's see what happens. The pitch. Arky fly ball to center. Pretty well hit. Ashburn ranging over. He will make the grab. Davis going to try to score. The throw, not in time. That is a 1-0 lead for Maine Whiskey Tango off the sac fly off the bat of Arky Vaughn. First run of the series for the Tango, and they will now look to parlay that into a Game 2 victory. We go bottom three, and the Fury have something to say about it. They've got the top of the lineup going in John McGraw. On second with one out is Ozzie Smith. McGraw will face off against Brandon Webb here and now. Full count, the pitch, and that's ball four. John McGraw, known for his 126-eye versus right-hand pitching, using every bit of it there to draw the 6-pitch walk. That can be where Brandon Webb can get into trouble. That low control can result in a lot of free passes, and if the wrong guy comes up and splits a gap, it can really cost him. We'll see if that happens here today. Roger Connor, the next hitter, and the Detroit Fury fans staying on their feet. Despite being returning champions here, a lot of spunk in the crowd here tonight. 1-2 count. Webb looking for a ground ball. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Brandon Webb dials it up to 97. Up in the zone. Connor not able to catch up. That is strikeout number 2 for Webb, and a very important out here in the third as he efforts to retain his 1-0 lead. Now full count, 2 outs. Runners will get started on this one. It's Richie Ashburn at the plate, a dish net special. Let's get the matchup analyzer involved here to know what to expect. Richie Ashburn versus right. Let's go Brandon Webb versus left. Big advantage here to Richie Ashburn, a 292 hitter, rocking a 380 OBP versus right-hand pitching. Sum it all up to 11.4 batting runs over the average hitter in Perfect League. Full count. The pitch. Ball 4. Another 6-pitch walk from Webb. He has now walked him loaded and has the ever-dangerous Pete Rose approaching the plate. We'll quickly get Pete Rose. Thanks for the follow there, Ori Halson. Pete Rose versus right. Not quite as dangerous as Richie Ashburn, but no slouch either. A 283 hitter, 358 on-base percentage. Looking to come through here. We've got the first pitch in the at-bat as Webb comes set. The delivery, ground ball to second. On over to first in time, and that will retire the side, as Brandon Webb is wont to do. He gets a ground ball and gets out of the inning, an inning which saw him issue 2 different free passes. and load the bases. So 3 stranded runners for the Fury. We head on to the 4th inning with Maine Whiskey Tango 1 and Detroit Fury 0. We go bottom 5, another highlight for the Fury. This time we're starting with Willie Keeler, the 9-hole hitter. After he goes, McGraw, Connor, and Ashburn will follow. Webb winds, delivers, and this ball's lined up the middle of base hit. Willie Keeler turns around a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and tickets that one out to center field. A dangerous runner in Willie Keeler. We'll see if he has any action on the base paths here with the meat of the lineup of the order due. Now, John McGraw, with his great eye, he sees a ton of pitches. There will be no shortage of opportunities for Willie Keeler to test the battery of Bill Dickey and Brandon Webb. Full count. 5 pitches into this at-bat, and Keeler has not attempted to steal. Safe to say they're going to let John McGraw play out this at-bat before they do so. They could send him here. The pitch. Ball 4. John McGraw works his 2nd consecutive 6-pitch walk. We have now witnessed firsthand 4 walks from Brandon Webb, all 4 of them the 6-pitch variety. The pitch count here in the 5th has to be climbing. How much longer will Whiskey Tango stick with their embattled starter? Roger Connor, the next hitter, 2-2 count on him. The pitch. Line drive down the right field line and going to the wall. Keeler will score. Around third is McGraw. He's going to try to score, and he does without a throw. A 2 RBI triple for Roger Connor, giving the Detroit Fury the lead, 2-1. It is now 3-1 as the Fury specialize in off-camera runs. That is their 4th of this series, this very short and young series. We go to the bottom of the 6th now, and we have the same combo we had a couple short innings ago. We have Willie Keeler on first. We have John McGraw at the plate. We've got a full count and 2 outs, meaning Keeler will be off with the pitch. Any sort of single, any sort of hit here, a threat to score the speedy Keeler. The pitch. Line drive, center field, well hit. Giving chase, and he will not get there. Around third goes Keeler. He will score. Into second is John McGraw, a 2-out RBI double. 4-1 Fury. We go top 7, and it's time for Maine Whiskey Tango to punch back. They've got Carl Yastrzemski aboard to lead off this inning, and now they send up their own icy cold Willie Keeler. He's worked himself a 2-0 advantage in the count. Can he parlay that into any sort of offensive goodness? The pitch. Little looper out to center. It will get down in front of Richie Ashburn. A little looping single off the bat of Keeler. And just like that, the Whiskey Tango bring up the tying run to the plate. 4-4 would love nothing more than to see Jim O'Rourke send this one into the bleachers and give him 10,000 cool, perfect points. Here is Jim O'Rourke. Now, we haven't seen him yet in this game, and frankly, we haven't seen a ton of him in the Perfect League World Series. And whenever that is the case, I like to give you guys some stats. What does Jim Rourke look like versus right? And while we're at it, let's check out Oral Hershiser versus right as well. Going by the color test will give the advantage actually to the hitter on this one in the same side matchup. Jim O'Rourke hitting for a good average, a decent OBP, and a decent slug, all same side. He is one of the few right-handed batters that is a positive bat versus right-hand pitching, and one heck of a base stealer as well. Hershiser finds himself in a touch of trouble here at this one. The pitch. Ground ball up the middle, and that ball's going to get through. Yastrzemski around third. He will stop there. They are now loaded here in the 7th with nobody out. Joe Morgan due up next. Let's get Joe Morgan into the matchup analyzer. Joe Morgan versus right. We're going to have to tick over Oral Hershiser to versus left. Now, Joe Morgan's numbers actually took quite a hit this week. Joe Morgan versus right was actually below league average. Now, our 3-year average, which is what you see in the matchup analyzer, is still positive. But something happened to Morgan this week. He did not have a great week. He can make up for it all right here and now in the 7th inning. Now, we see the Detroit Fury aggressively coming to the plate on this one despite their 3-run lead. A 2-2 count to Morgan. The pitch. Grounded to first and through and down the line. Scoring easily is Yastrzemski. Around third is Keeler. He will score. Stopping at third is O'Rourke on the 2 RBI double from Joe Morgan. And just like that, Whiskey Tango punch back. It is now 4-3, and they are on the doorstep of tying this one, if not taking the lead. Very next batter, Richie Ashburn. Infield still drawn in here. A 3-1 count. And the pitch. Ashburn loops this one to left. And that ball will go to the wall. 2 more runs will score. Pulling on into second with a 2 RBI double is Ashburn. And Maine Whiskey Tango, on the backs of 5 consecutive batters to reach, have not only tied it, but they've taken the lead. It is 5-4, Maine. Still top 7, Hershiser still grinding to get through this jam. He now has runners at the corners, nobody out for Deacon White. Now Deacon White, excellent at not getting struck out. We're likely to see some contact here, a 2-2 count. The pitch. Line drive, base hit to right field. Scoring is Ashburn. Dickey going from first to third. The speedy Deacon White all the way to second base. New subscriber in ROM3S. Thank you so much for the support. We are now at 93 of our 200 goal for subscribers. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the support. It is now 6-4 Maine Whiskey Tango. We are still in the 7th inning. And the Detroit Fury have yet to record an out. We are going on 7 consecutive batters without an out recorded. And now George Davis steps in. Now George Davis, a much better hitter from the right side. So the Fury bringing in Glavin will actually neutralize his bat to a certain degree. We'll see if that pays dividends here as they are trying to keep this game as close as they can here in the 7th. And the pitch. Fly ball right field, well hit. Going back is Keeler. He will make the grab. Tagging on the play is Dickey. He will score. Also tagging from second is Deacon White. He'll get to third. It is now 7-4 Whiskey Tango. The Fury do get their first out of the inning, but now trailing this one by 3 as Sparrow is in the chat dropping a gift bomb of 5 new subscriptions to the community. Thanks so much for the support, man. I really appreciate it, and I'm wishing you the best of luck here tonight. And look at that. We are up to 10-4, and we are still in this 7th inning. This inning, I believe, started with Yastrzemski. It has all the way gone through Yastrzemski again and is now down to Ashburn. So that would make this a 13-batter inning, and we are still going. Ashburn versus Glavin. Not a great matchup here for Whiskey Tango, but the way things are going for them, wouldn't be surprised if we see a line drive single to right field. Keeler scores. Here comes O'Rourke. He will score, make it 12-4 Whiskey Tango, and the fans here in Detroit are shocked. You could hear a pin drop here at Fury Field. We now go to the bottom of the 9th. It is all over but the crying. And we've got Jose Rijo, one of the more dominant relievers on the season for the Whiskey Tango, facing off against Tournament Special Edition Paul Hines. 2 outs, nobody on, down 0-2 in the count. Rijo winds, delivers, swing and a miss, strike 3. And Maine Whiskey Tango has come into Detroit and earned the split. They will head to Maine, tied in this one 1-1, with their own destiny in their hands. 3 home games on deck. If they're able to squeeze all 3 of them, they will be your Perfect League champions for the calendar year 2045. They celebrate out in front of home plate with an interpretive dance routine that only Mainers understand. Let's look at the box score and see what happened. Extreme UW, wow, an 11-run inning in PEL, and you are absolutely correct. You don't see those a ton, and you don't see them almost ever in the playoffs. That was a crazy 7th inning. So Whiskey Tango scores in the first, takes 5 frames off, and then scores 11 times in the 7th inning. Look at that win expectancy chart. Crazy. Looks like a fun ride at Six Flags. Although I'm not sure how you'd get up that hill. That would be an uncomfortable experience as you're pulled up that hill there. Kind of needs to be flipped and inverted, go the other way. Did we have no home runs again? And we did. So 4-4, walking home with nothing, just like our first winner, Castanar, had, as we've gone 2 games into the series and we have no home runs to show for it. Again, complaints should go to Detroit Fury for having a slightly nerfed home stadium. As we look at the box score here, we have Detroit Fury going with the same side opener follower with Harvey into Hershiser. Harvey gives up 1 in the first, and then Hershiser just has a really rough go of it. Hershiser was given a long rope in this game, 5 innings pitched, did give up 7 earned on 9 hits and a walk, did strike out 3, but really had a tough time in that 7th inning, and a lot of those runs that ended up crossing home plate were his. 7 of the 11, in fact. Tommy Glavine coming in relief didn't exactly pour water on the situation, but rather brought the gas can, as in 2/3 of an inning, he gave up 4 earned runs himself. And by the time Wainwright and Royce caught control of the situation, the 5-alarm fire was too much to put out. On the other side, Maine Whiskey Tango gets away with a really subpar start from Brandon Webb. 5 2/3 innings, as we saw in the sim, really fighting his command the whole step of the way, every step of the way. Gave up 6 hits and 6 walks. So 12 base runners in 5 2/3. By the grace of God, only gave up 4 earned runs. Did not give up any home runs in the process. I like to look at double plays for Brandon Webb. His ground ball inducement can result in a lot of them. We see that Maine Whiskey Tango only had 1 in this game. Went Vaughn, Morgan to White. After Webb left the game, Jose Rijo came in and really just made it his own. It took 48 pitches to do so, but 3 1/3 innings of shutout ball allowed for the offense to roar back and win the game, and Rijo was able to finish off his own work there. So now we are on the off day, guys. Let's update our score bug. Fury and Tango. Tango and Fury. So let's go ahead and draw some new winners. New winners for games 3, 4, and 5. So once I set this up, we will have an active drawing. Very good. I think we're good to go here. We'll click that button. And the G3, 4, and 5 giveaway is up and running. Exclamation point ticket in the chat for your chance to be in the hot seat. We will erase 4-4 once we have a new combatant, a new honoree. And while we are letting that run, let's look at some statistics. So one thing that we like to do during the travel day between games 2 and game 3 is look at who our top hitters of the week were. And that's exactly what we'll do now. So one thing that I'll say before we get into the numbers here is that things are just tightening up a lot. The early charts 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, You had some really big numbers here. You had some really small numbers here. And we are moving away from that. It is becoming very rare for any hitter to get over 10 bat R, which we used to have Pete Rose living there. Pete Rose was the mayor of 10 plus bat R. And Pete Rose isn't getting even close anymore. Pete Rose this week at 6. So our winning hitter of the week is none other than Roger Connor at 15.38. Frankly, he's won less weeks than I would have expected him to. But he wins this week as our number one hitter, and no one's really all that close to him. The closest is Joe DiMaggio at 10.96. Joe DiMaggio about 2-1 in terms of sample size of the quantity of people using him versus Roger Connor. Now, that's not due to demand. That is due to supply, as just about everyone has a Joe DiMaggio, and only a select few have Roger Connor. If Roger Connor was a special edition granted by missions, his plate appearances would likely resemble those of Pete Rose here in that 25,000 plate appearance neighborhood. All right, we'll go ahead and close out our giveaway here. Draw 3 new winners. So 3, 2, and 1 giveaway closed. All right, Game 3's hot seat will belong to Idolatro 15. Game 4's hot seat will go to Lightning Viper. Game 5's hot seat will belong to Castanar. I'm quite sure Castanar was our Game 1 hot seat. I will allow it. We will allow it. Castanar, it's better to be lucky than good, and frankly, you didn't get anything for your Game 1 appearance, so let's see if you can make up for it in Game 5, a game that we are guaranteed to get. So we will close the giveaway there. We will update our hot seat with the current inhabitant, which is Idolatro 15. Now, do keep in mind, we are moving from Detroit's ballpark, which is a slight homer nerf, and we are going to Maine's ballpark, which is a full homer nerf. So it is entirely possible that we have another 3 games coming with no home runs, but we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. All right, let's continue looking at some numbers here. So we've got Connor at the top. We've got DiMaggio at 11. Very strong number there. Archie Vaughn, Wade Boggs, Mel Ott. Mel Ott with a very strong week. So Mel Ott versus Willie Keeler is a decision that a lot of people have made, and most people have made it in favor of Willie Keeler. Now, this week and the numbers presented this week provide a pretty compelling argument that maybe it's not so open and shut in terms of Ott versus Keeler. Ott hit better. Ott was better from a WAR perspective, although he did so on a much smaller sample size. Mel Ott here at 900 plate appearances. Let's go ahead and jump to right field, as that's what we're talking about. Willie Keeler actually was a negative bat this week. We have not seen a ton of that. We have not seen a ton of that at all
Attention,
from a meta player. Yeah, Willie Keeler coming in at -2, whereas Mel Ott at 7.65. Now, we do expect Mel Ott to, from a pure bat R perspective, outdo Willie Keeler. That's not something that we've never seen before. Willie Keeler's value is driven pretty heavily by what he can do on the base paths that Mel Ott can't match. But from a WAR perspective, Keeler normally holds Ott at bay or outright destroys him, and this week was not the case. So as we look at right field numbers, let's go ahead and toggle versus right, just so we can isolate what we're looking at here. So Mel Ott comes in at 10.76. Willie Keeler just at 3.72. 10 times the supply as well. 10 times the plate appearances, I should say. 7,600 versus 740 versus right for Mel Ott. Now, the king of the right field week from a VR perspective was actually Enos Slaughter. A live SE card that just won't go away. I do think that's actually a good thing. I'm not eager for Enos Slaughter to go away, and I love the fact that there's a card that is readily available to anyone that they can see on a stream like this and see, you know what, that card can play in Perfect League. Now, Enos Slaughter cannot play over Ott, can't play over Keeler. Doesn't belong in that type of conversation. But from a pure bat value perspective, Enos Slaughter is going to give you that puncher's chance just as much as Ott or Keeler would. Now you're going to pay for it with the defense, and Enos Slaughter's not going to offer you anything on the base paths like Willie Keeler will. But Enos Slaughter, a budget card, absolutely playing in perfect and not sticking out like a sore thumb. We'll look at our VL numbers now, and we see Al Kaline actually hitting pretty darn well. Now, the early Al Kaline numbers in the partial season that he dropped, and even the first season after he dropped, were not that sparkling. It's good to see Kaline getting some good numbers this week. 15.06 bat R for Al Kaline, holding off Harry Heilman and Pete Rose for the honor of top VL bat for right field. Let's jump on over to the other corner. We'll go to left field, and we'll look at our VR numbers first. And in so doing, we have a surprising comeback from Stan Musial. So Musial was really underperforming Yastrzemski's bat in the first couple weeks after their release. Both released within the same set. And he fought back this week. So 10.44, just barely trailing Carl Yastrzemski's 11.74. And well ahead of Pete Rose and Jim O'Rourke from a VR perspective. We see Tim Raines holding on. Tim Raines at -4. You don't have Tim Raines for his bat, but rather for his ability to run the base paths. And you still see 4,000 plate appearances of Tim Raines. So still getting a good, healthy amount of run. Let's look at our VL numbers now for the position. Pete Rose carrying this position at 9.38, holding off Jim O'Rourke. Now, again, Jim O'Rourke, one of those cards where you need to look at the sum of all the parts. You can't just look at the bat. Jim O'Rourke is an elite base runner, one of the best in the game. You could put him in the same conversation as Rickey Henderson from that perspective. And so you're getting a lot of value there. Now, Henderson is right behind O'Rourke here. Not played a ton. Henderson is a packable 100. Tough to find. And some people are quick to abandon a card like Rickey, which can really put up some gross numbers in short samples because of his need to hit the ball over the fence and his need to walk to really get to his overall bat value. We'll close out the outfield as this Game 3 sim is coming in. And there it is right there. We'll start with VR. So Richie Ashburn is in a class of his own versus right. Definitely by far and away the best hitter versus right-hand pitching. 9.39 bat R. Way better than anyone else. The only other VR bat that's actually above water is Joe DiMaggio, 1.06. After DiMaggio, you have Charleston just underwater at 0.6 negative. You have Paul Hines at -2, Ned Hanlon -2.5, and then Kurt Flood way down there at -25. As we spike it on over to VL, you see DiMaggio surface to the top. DiMaggio about twice as good with the bat as Kurt Flood, coming in nearly at 20 to Kurt Flood's 10. And then Paul Hines trailing both of them at 6.32. Charleston down there at the bottom at -15. So I'll go ahead and leave this up here with all the numbers, all the splits, as we load up our next sim. And we see how many home runs can be hit for Idolatro 15. So let's remember this main ballpark. We have got neutral average. We have got completely
Attention, it's meta.
with that meta button. And meta button stuck. We've got completely nerfed gaps, completely nerfed home runs. So we could be in line for another pitcher's duel. We do have Epa Rixey on the mound. Best pitcher in Perfect League. So that might be exactly what we're getting. Now, as we look at the lineup that Rixey will have to face today, he's got some big names in there. He's got Frank Robinson, a very rare card, PTCS reward. You've got Paul Hines in there, Jackie Robinson. So not an easy lineup at all. We even see Rickey Henderson in the 9 spot there. He'll get to work against Jackie Robinson here in the first. 0-2 count against Jackie as we get Game 3 underway. Wind and the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Epa Rixey, 89 miles an hour on the black. And Jackie Robinson unable to make contact. Swings through it. 1 up and 1 down. And game 3 is underway. We go bottom 1, and immediately Maine Whiskey Tango has a scoring opportunity. This one will be against Eddie Plank. Eddie Plank pitching into a lineup of all lefties. Something tells me this is an opener Plank and not a straight start Plank. Now the question is, who's going to be the follower? Will it be another lefty that gets to feast on that lineup, or will it be a righty? We will find out soon enough. But first, we need to see what happens with Arky Vaughn as he's batting with 2 on and nobody out. Plank comes set. Delivers fly ball deep right field. Heading back and leaping is Frank Robinson. He will not get it. A 3-run homer for Arky Vaughn in the first. I can't think of many less likely outcomes in a nerfed ballpark against the movement king of left-handed pitching, against a left-handed batter who can't hit left-handed pitching, and he goes deep. 3-0 before we've even got started for the Tango. 10,000 perfect points and counting for Idolatro 15. We move to the bottom of the third. Into this game comes John Smoltz, the likely follower for the Fury. He'll face off against Jim O'Rourke. 2-1 count on him. 1 away. The pitch. And O'Rourke gets into this one deep to left. Back goes Ricky. Back to the track. Back to the wall. That ball's gone. Jim O'Rourke plays long ball. John Smoltz been struggling with his off speed in the early going here. Leaves a splitter up. He's not quite getting the biting action he's used to with that pitch. And here, down to the count 2-1, O'Rourke got a pitch up in the zone. Didn't have that customary movement that we're used to seeing from Smoltz, and he paid for it. O'Rourke takes this one out 389 feet to straightaway left field, giving the Whiskey Tango now a 4-run advantage in this one before the Fury even have a hit. 20,000 points for Idolatro 15. We go top 5, and we have got some more updates. Off-camera runs aplenty for the Tango. It is now 7-0, as the Fury are still looking furiously for their first hit. They'll send up Frank Robinson here against Eparixi to find it. 1-1 count. Wind and the pitch, and this ball's well hit. Deep to left field. Back goes Yastrzemski, back of the track, and that ball is gone. Frank Robinson, elite PTCS card. Only 3 people have him, and only one of them is in the Perfect League World Series, hitting a solo home run tonight, and that's the Detroit Fury. It is now 7-1. It is now 30,000 perfect points and counting for Idolatro 15. In a fully nerfed Homer Park, and we're not even in through the 5th. Bottom 6 now. We've got Deacon White facing John Smoltz still in this ball game. It is 8-1. 1-1 count to White. Wind and the pitch. And that ball's hit well into the left center field gap. That ball's going to get down. Deacon White off to the races now. Has first easy, has second easy. Will he try for 3? He will. The throw from Paul Hines, not in time. A 2-out triple for Deacon White, splitting the gap and running hard. Idolatro 15 rooting for an inside the park homer there. Didn't quite get it. More off-camera runs. It is now 9-3. And oh, by the way, the bases are loaded. The tying run not quite on deck, but it is in the hole. As Roger Connor bats here, Crandall on deck if he reaches. Ozzie Smith representing the tying run if they can get that far. Roger Connor will face off against Pedro Martinez here. The pitch. Fly ball center field, well hit. Going back is Ashburn, back to the track. He makes the grab. Maine Maine Whiskey Tango win Game 3. This one by the final score of 9-3. Whiskey Tango able to amass 12 hits in this one to the Furies 6 and plate 9 of them. Let's go to the box score and see what happened. As fireworks in Maine. Congratulations to Idolatro 15. That's 30,000 perfect points. Let me make note of it so that once this stream is over, I can send that on to the powers that be and make sure you get it. You know what? I don't know if this is your perfect team username. So if you can DM me on Discord or whisper me on Twitch with your perfect team username that you want the points on, and make sure you have the correct capitalization, and then we'll get you those points as soon as possible. 30,000. Congratulations to Idolatro. Now, what happened in this one? We go to the pitching first, as we always do, and we see that Epirixie was good, very good for Maine. It seems like the runs that were scored late. 2 in the ninth here. So 8 2/3 innings, nearly finished his own masterpiece. Gave up 3 earned runs, which was more than within his margin for error given the large lead that he did have. Pedro Martinez came on to finish it off. On the other side, we had a really rough go for Detroit's staff. You had Eddie Plank on the open, and he struggled with that 3-run homer in the first. It seems there was also an unearned run in there, so Mike Schmidt made things worse by allowing one of those early batters to reach base, who then scored on Archie Vaughn's 3-run homer. And then John Smoltz didn't have it either. John Smoltz on the follow, despite a 2.8 ERA in the postseason, gives up 6 earned runs in this one, allowing Maine Whiskey to build up that 9-run lead. Tommy Glavine, Kevin Brown finish it off. So just like that, Maine Whiskey Tango now up 2-1 in the series, adding some importance here to this Game 4. If Whiskey Tango can protect home field and win this Game 4, they will set themselves up with the opportunity to close things out in Maine and not have to board that plane for that not-so-long flight all the way over to Detroit. That is absolutely what they want to do. We'll look at the postseason coverage here to see who we're expecting. So, Detroit showing Oral Hershiser as the scheduled starter, while Maine Whiskey Tango showing John Smoltz. Now, we just saw Detroit Furies' John Smoltz struggle in this ballpark. Will Maine Whiskey Tangos be able to do better? We've got a couple minutes here to kill before the sim, so let's continue our journey around the positions. We'll go to catcher next. We'll go VR and VL for all the positions we can get through in the next 3 minutes. Thanks so much, T-Chuck, for the support in the chat. We have Bill Dickey as our number 1 hitting catcher, 6.14 on the bat R for Dickey. Also, the most heavily used catcher versus right. If you added up all of the other combatants here, they would just about equal the plate appearance count of Bill Dickey. So Bill Dickey has successfully taken over for Tim McCarver as that meta catcher and has done so for a good number of weeks. As we toggle over to VL, we see that Mike Piazza is the best of all catchers, but he's not good. He's not good. Negative 4.88. So there is no catcher in perfect hitting above league average versus left. Not Piazza, not Crandall, and certainly not Bill Dickey, who you see down there at negative 31.28. But that's okay. We're not looking for our run production from our catchers. What we get from them is a bonus. What we really want from them is for them to take care of our pitchers, for them to contribute to run prevention. We move on from catcher to first base. This is where we'll see Roger Connor jump off the page at us. We're on the versus right toggle right now. And in looking at this, we see Roger Connors at 26.6. Just a Herculean number there. Absolutely dominant. Those who are not running Roger Connor there are running oftentimes Pete Rose there. And as you look at the delta between the two, Roger Connor providing 20 additional runs. 20 additional batting runs per 600 plate appearances versus right-handed pitching. So a huge differentiator. Now, Pete Rose is still part of just about everyone's build. But I think that people probably would be surprised to see that the numbers are degrading to the point where he's not quite your best hitter anymore. Carl Yastrzemski's showing well on this stat as well. Jason Giambi in short sample showing to be above league average. Let's go versus left. As we do so, we see Harry Heilman bubble up to the top. Now, Heilman has been a guy who is always sitting aboard atop the VL leaderboards for hitting. But the thing is, I can't get my Harry Heilman to hit, and I don't know why. I don't know what I did to my Harry. Here he is. Now, this week, before I replaced him with Jim O'Rourke, he was actually doing a fine job. 288 average, 363, 456 on the slug. But I had 3 consecutive seasons of bad Harry Heilman, and that was enough for me to look for other options and then land on Jim O'Rourke and like what he brings to the table. You know, oftentimes with my build, I was having to send up this position, or whoever was taking this roster spot versus right. And I just really like what O'Rourke can do versus right a whole lot more than what Heilman can do. And so that went into the calculus there. Let's do second base real quick before we have to run. And this is where I wanted to show you guys. So Cupid Childs has typically been an absolute monster VR. Not so great this week, only 3.68 to the positive and 1,500 plate appearances. Joe Morgan was actually negative. So Joe Morgan was typically in that 3 to 5 to 7 range. And he actually went negative this week in 9,000 plate appearances. So Joe Morgan still better than Jackie Robinson versus right. But definitely degrading down and decaying, if you will. To the point where I was surprised this week. Let's have the final thing we do be looking at his decay chart. Here's Joe Morgan. Let's look at the versus right split. And as you can see here, let me shrink this a little bit so you can see the OPS. There you go. As you can see, this was the first week that he's ever had where his versus right split was below league average. He was living in that 2 to 8 range. You know, maybe last week was the indicator that the end was near as he dropped from that 5 to 8 range down to 2. And then this week continued dropping down to negative 2.4. So it could be that Joe Morgan not long for his position as meta second baseman. Now, we don't really have anyone to take that spot yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that story were to change in the coming weeks. Let's get back to baseball, and let's get back to this series as we've got a delicious one going on, and the Game 4 sim is waiting for us. T-Chuck, Frank T should see more play. Who is Frank T? I wonder. We're not talking about Frank Tanana, are we? Frank Thomas. I should have known that. Yeah, Frank T is not a bad card. I've never heard him called Frank T before. No, the guy from the male enhancement ads. That Frank T. All right, let's get this game started. So we're in game 4. We are starting to get to crunch time. These games all more important than the one before it. Let's go ahead and update our hot seat. We are going from Idolatro 15 to Lightning Viper. We'll see if we're able to match or even beat the 30,000 perfect points we saw last game. Lightning Viper officially in the hot seat. Let's get this baby started. Smoltz on the hill for Tango as expected. He'll start off against John McGraw, and he'll face a lineup of 9 batters that will bat left-handed against him. He's got McGraw even in the count 2-2 here. Wind and the pitch. That one's going to be grounded on over to short. Fielded by Davis, on over to first in time. Game 4 now underway. 1 up and 1 down for the Fury. We go bottom 1, and just like that, Maine Whiskey Tango threatening out the gate. They've got Jim O'Rourke, who has worked his way over to third here with 1 out. I'm guessing that could be a leadoff double and maybe a fielder's choice, moving Rourke over to third. And now Buddy Bell bats versus Jerry Royce with 1 away. Infield back, conceding the run. There's a fly ball left. It's not deep. This could be a play at the plate. Pete Rose will make the catch. The throw home. Here comes O'Rourke. Great base runner. Not in time. That will be the first run of this game. 1-0 Tango. 3 batters into this one. We go top 2, and the Fury looking to strike back. They've got all the pieces in place to do so here, as Pete Rose has led off with a single, followed by Archie Vaughn, a single of his own, and now Bill Dickey bats. Tango looking for a double play ball with a candidate who can turn him here. Fly ball well hit, deep to center field. Back goes DiMaggio. He'll make the grab. Pete Rose unable to tag on the play, as it was about medium depth, and they didn't quite want to challenge the arm of DiMaggio with a not-so-great base runner of Pete Rose. That is a crucial first out of this inning with no advancement of those runners. Up comes Joe Morgan. Fans here in Maine staying on their feet. They were champions in PT 21, and they want to taste that same sweetness here in PT 22, giving all their love and affection to John Smoltz to get out of this early jam. Full count on Morgan. Wind and the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Big strikeout for John Smoltz. And a full count, having the confidence to throw the backdoor slider. Morgan, to his credit, saw it coming, offered at it, but was unable to spoil off the perfect pitch. Second out of the inning for Smoltz, and now he's an Ozzie Smith put out away from escaping this jam. And that is what he does. We move to the 4th now. Now it's Maine Whiskey Tango's turn as they're facing off against Vida Blue. Vida Blue will face Willie Keeler here. The one same-side matchup he has in the lineup. 2 aboard, 2 out. Wind and the pitch to Keeler, and he lines this one. Base hit to right field. DiMaggio around third. He's going to not try to score. Very much scared off by the lightning throw in from Willie Keeler. Hits the cutoff man. And DiMaggio will be glued to third base. The bases are now loaded for Del Crandall. A huge moment in this game. Let's use our matchup analyzer to know what to expect. Vida Blue versus right. Del Crandall versus left will give the advantage to the hitter. Now Crandall, the way that his production is shaped is that of a low OBP masher. Only a 288 OBP, but he does play long ball. He can reach those seats out there in left center field, and that's exactly what the home crowd wants him to do today. Vida Blue down on the count 1-0. A big moment in this game 4. Wind and the pitch. Fly ball! Deep center field! Back goes Ashburn. That ball is out of here. Del Crandall grand slam. Fireworks in Maine. Vida Blue tried to sneak a heater on the inner half, and Crandall was having none of it. Turns on that one and hits it 413. Happy feet out to the batter's eye in center field. Local Mainers battle for the souvenir out on the grassy patch as this stadium is up for grabs. An absolute tank shot from Del Crandall changes the complexion of this game with a single swing. We now fast forward. We go to the 7th. It is 6-1 Whiskey Tango as John Smoltz still in this ballgame. Smoltz has now gone 6 2/3 innings. He's given up 1. He's given up 6 hits. And now he's battling with Willie Keeler. One and the pitch, and Keeler gets into this one deep to right center field. Giving chase as DiMaggio. He'll look up, and that ball is gone. Willie Keeler takes one out to the power alley. Caught a hanging curveball from Smoltz. The moment he hit it, Smoltz knew. Hung his head in shame, not what he was wanting to do with that pitch. And that's going to be the second run for the Fury. They now trail Whiskey Tango by 4. 20,000 perfect points and counting for Lightning Viper, our current resident of the hot seat. We now go top 9. 1 strike left for the Fury. They've got Keeler aboard in scoring position, but of paramount importance is getting more base runners. They've got John McGraw at the plate. A left-on-left matchup, which isn't great for him, but he does have that great eye, and he's worked a full count. Let's see if he can nurse this into a walk the pitch. Fly ball right field, well hit, but right at the guy. Al Kaline squeezes it, makes the grab, and that's gonna do it. Maine Whiskey Tango wins game 4 by a final score of 6-2. An interpretive dance routine unfolds out in front of home plate as they have their pewter unis with their white pant bottoms, and they now also have a 3-1 series lead. An interesting game 4 as the Whiskey Tango only able to amass 4 hits to the Detroit Fury's 9, but they were able to make them count, most notably off the bat of Del Crandall and his bases clearing grand slam early on in this one. Let's go to the box score as we have fireworks in Maine. 3 straight wins now for the Tango. So what happened in this one? So we had a straight start for Maine Whiskey Tango's John Smoltz, and he walked into that lineup that we saw could be challenging to him, and he did very well. He did yield 9 base runners in 6 2/3 innings, but only 2 of them scored. 1 via home run, the Willie Keeler solo shot on that hanging curve in the 7th inning. Mike Flanagan then came in and cleaned it all up. He had a healthy lead to work with and didn't need any of it. He goes 2 1/3, gives up 1 hit, no walks, most importantly, no runs to shut the door, maintain home field advantage, and give his Tango a chance to close out here in Game 5. Now, for the Detroit Fury, we had a same-side open, same-side follow. We had Jerry Royce leading into Vida Blue. For the second time this series, both follower and opener struggled. Royce gives up the run in the early game, and then Vida Blue gives up that devastating grand slam shot to Del Crandall. You see the matchup analyzer still affixed with that matchup, Vida Blue versus Crandall, and that matchup resulted in a game-breaking grand slam for the Maine Whiskey Tango. 20,000 perfect points for Lightning Viper. Lightning Viper, go ahead and DM me on the Discord or whisper me on Twitch with the perfect team username that you want those points on. Please do have the correct capitalization so we can make sure that those flow through quickly and efficiently to you. And congratulations for your fortuitous round in the hot seat. Now we welcome for Game 5, we welcome back our Game 1 hot seat inhabitant, Castanar. Now in Game 1, Castanar came away with nothing. Came away with a whole bag of nothing. Looking to change that narrative here in Game 5. Now Games 3 and 4 have had plenty of home runs. Plenty of long ball. Will we have that in Game 5 as well? 1 minute to the sim. One minute to the sim here. We can go back to our hitting numbers. We'll bounce around a little bit. We don't have too much more ground to cover here. So we were on second base when we got derailed. When we got derailed by our Joe Morgan adventure. As we look at the VL numbers for second base, it's Jackie Robinson and no one else. So in VL lineups, you have Jackie Robinson. There's really nobody else that you're going to be playing there. Only Jackie Robinson and Joe Morgan fit the plate appearance minimum here, and the only reason Morgan fits that is not because he's played VL, but rather in the natural course of him being deployed VR, he runs into some VL plate appearances and does so in a high enough sample to show up on this list. So we'll go from second base to shortstop, and at shortstop, as we're talking about versus right-hand pitching, it's Arky Vaughn. Arky Vaughn is the king there, and Luke Appling has actually fallen off a ton. So right when Luke Appling dropped, he was very much competitive with Arky Vaughn. Appling was absolutely crushing right-handed pitching, and this week looks to be an outlier. Let's see what the decay chart looks like. But I was absolutely shocked to see him actually go negative this week. Luke Appling, we'll look at versus right. And similar to Joe Morgan, this is the first time ever that Luke Appling has gone negative versus right. And look at how drastic the shift has been. Look at 2040 and 2041 and 2042. He was at or above 10 on the bat R, and then something happened. 2043, not so great. 2044 reinforced that 2043 was not an outlier, and then 2045 showed us that we could go even further down. So Luke Appling having a rough go of it with the bat. Now, Luke Appling is a good shortstop. He's a good defender. So his value is not entirely driven by what he gives you with the bat. But when he was producing 10-plus batting runs versus the average hitter, that was certainly appreciated. All right, let's load up Game 5. I don't need to tell you the stakes here, guys. We've got a team up 3-1. The Perfect League World Series trophy is in the building. You know, speaking of Perfect League World Series trophies, a little something showed up this week. I would say this is a humble brag, but this is really just a brag. I was very excited to receive this beautiful piece of hardware, and this is exactly what's going to whoever comes out ahead today. Maine Whiskey Tango or Detroit Fury. Now in this game here, only Maine Whiskey Tango can unlock his avenue to that trophy. Detroit Fury's got a lot of work to do before we get there. Fury's got to win the next 3. So starting this game for the Tango is going to be Felix Hernandez. We'll toggle over to our matchup analyzer in case it's needed. And John McGraw will lead off this game as he has every game so far this series. One-two count on McGraw. Wind and the pitch. Grounded to second. Easy play for Jackie. Throws on over to first in time. And Game 5 is underway. A potential clincher for the Tango. In potential clinching games, everything is a bit more on edge. Crowd's more into it. Every highlight means a little bit more. Every play a little bit more important. Because we could be crowning a champion here and now tonight. We move to the top of the fourth. The next highlight goes to the Fury. They've got a leadoff man on here in the fourth in Richie Ashburn, as Hernandez will pitch to Pete Rose. Tango looking for a double play. Wind and the pitch. Ground ball going to be a very tough play. Jackie fields it, throw to first. Not in time. An infield single for Pete Rose. And even though the exit velo on this one was sub 70, it's going to look like a line drive in the box score. And it's going to give the Fury 2 on and nobody out here in the fourth, with Arky Vaughn, Bill Dickey, and Joe Morgan due up. 3-0 count on Arky Vaughn. The pitch. Misses inside. Goes with a 3-0 breaking ball, as command of the fastball has not been where Hernandez has wanted it here tonight. And now he finds himself in a world of trouble. Out to the mound goes Maine Whiskey Tango pitching coach to talk things over with Felix Hernandez and try to get a hold of this one before things get out of hand. Bill Dickey due up. With Dickey due up, it's time to use our matchup analyzer. Let's get Felix in here. Felix Hernandez versus left. Let's get Bill Dickey. Now we know from looking at our catcher numbers that Bill Dickey is not just a great defender, but against right-hand pitching brings a lot with the bat as well. You'll see that in the bottom right corner with a solid 762 OPS versus right-hand pitching. Felix Hernandez a touch below perfect league average versus left-hand hitting. Advantage squarely in the favor of the Detroit Fury here. Hernandez comes set, delivers ground ball to short, to second one, to first, not in time. A fielder's choice. Arky Vaughn retired on the play, but scoring is Ashburn. And it's now 1-0 Fury, as we've got one out here in the fourth. Uh-oh, 2 off-camera runs. This series might be our all-time high of off-camera runs. We are getting them by the bunches here tonight, as the Detroit Fury have gone from being up 1-0 to now being up 3-0. And they are pitching against the Tango here in the fourth. Now, on the hill for the Fury is Epa Rixey. Now, Epa Rixey, best pitcher in perfect team, in perfect league. And in a stadium like this, where you take away the gaps and you take away the long ball, he only gets more dangerous. He is staked to a 3-0 lead here with 6 innings to go. He'll face Buddy Bell with Pete Rose aboard. 2-2 count on Bell the pitch. Line drive, base hit left side. Pete Rose will stop at second. Now 2 aboard, nobody out. For the meat of the Tango order, DiMaggio, K-Line, Jackie Robinson due up. Here's DiMaggio as the Maine Whiskey Tango faithful stay on their feet, chanting their support for Joe D. Full count, the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Epa Rixey pulls the string on this one. A 67-mile-per-hour curveball. Not what Joe DiMaggio was expecting on the full count there. He was dialed up for the heater and unable to adjust. Swings over the top of this one, and that's a huge first out for Epa Rixey. 1 away. Up next, Al Kaline. Al Kaline now down on the count 1-2. Rixey comes set, delivers. Strike 3 called. He goes right back to his out pitch that he got DiMaggio on. This time dropping down to 66 miles per hour on the curve, and this one coming backdoor. Al Kaline, unsuspecting, gave up on the pitch only to see it work its way back to the outside corner. That is a second consecutive strikeout for Rixey, who now finds himself 1 out away of escaping this jam here in the fourth. He'll have to get through Jackie Robinson to do so. And he does. Rixey escapes the fourth with no damage and now has to fight here in the fifth. So Del Crandall, Game 4 hero, now aboard here in Game 5 with one away as George Davis steps up as the 9-hitter. The pitch. Fly ball center field, well hit. Going back is Ashburn, back to the wall. He jumps and can't get it. He can't get it. Around third is Crandall. He'll stop there. Crandall had to wait to make sure that Ashburn wasn't going to catch that ball. Ashburn looked to have a beat on it, was beelining straight back, reached up and was just short of making that grab. That's going to be a double for George Davis and put the tying run at the plate. That tying run comes to the plate in the form of Jim O'Rourke. He's down to the count 1-2. Let's see if Epirixi goes back to what has got him here. That low velocity curveball that has been his strikeout machine so far tonight. And the pitch. Fly ball right field playable. Sliding over is Kaline. He makes the grab. Trying to score is Crandall. The throw, not in time. Del Crandall, not known for his wheels, had just enough this time. Willie Keeler fired a strike to home, but just sliding under the tag is Del Crandall, and the Maine Whiskey Tango are on the board. 2 outs now in the fifth, 3-1. Nothing else doing in the fifth. We now go to the sixth. The Detroit Fury have got to be thinking to themselves, when is my next offensive highlight? Maine Whiskey Tango's now had 3 straight highlights, this time threatening with a runner at third and 1 away. We have the Fury aggressively with the infield in here, making the play to the plate to try to get DiMaggio and keep this 2-run lead in place. 2-2 count on Kaline. Rixey delivers. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And look at that. For the third time tonight, Rixey goes to that low velocity curveball, and it works. Second time in a row on Kaline. 2 away now here in the sixth. And Jackie Robinson will have to pick up the pieces, or else DiMaggio will be stranded at third. 1-1 count on Jackie. Rixey comes set, delivers, line drive up the middle, base hit. Jackie Robinson comes through for the Tango. And it is now a 1-run Detroit Fury lead, 3-2. And look at that, we go another inning, and it's another Tango highlight. So we had a Tango highlight in the fourth, a Tango highlight in the fifth, a Tango highlight in the sixth, and now a Tango highlight here in the seventh. They are just knocking on the door and giving Epirixi all he can handle and then some. Let's see what George Davis does here with 1 out in the seventh. He's got a full count. Wind and the pitch. Line drive up the middle, base hit. George Davis turns around a curve or a changeup that stayed in the zone longer than Rixey would want, and that's going to be the tying run at first base now for the Tango. Very next batter, Jim O'Rourke, and the Maine Whiskey Tango crowd starting to come to life here, sensing that they're about to break down the dam. Now leaving this game is Epirixi. Coming into the game is Matt Harvey, going for that right-on-right advantage here. The pitch from Harvey. Grounded to first. Fielded to second. 1 to first. Not in time. A fielder's choice off the bat of Jim O'Rourke. Fielded by Roger Connor. Threw it on down to second to get 1. But the speedy O'Rourke, they never had a chance to turn 2 on him. Now the big thing to watch will be, is O'Rourke going to be in motion? A great base runner. Pete Rose will now step in. Pete Rose has a great eye. He can work deep counts. Trailing by 1 late in this game, I would not be at all surprised to see O'Rourke take off for second base. And that's exactly what he does. Jim O'Rourke steals second base. Now has himself in scoring position. Now Matt Harvey, terrible at holding runners. Look in the bottom left corner of your screen. You'll see he's got an 11 hold runner rating. not nearly enough to keep O'Rourke at first, and so now that single or that fielder's choice becomes a double, and he is now one single away from tying this one. It's going to be Pete Rose in the batter's box for it. Let's get the matchup analyzer to tell us what's going to happen here. Matt Harvey versus left. Where's my Pete Rose? Pete Rose versus right. Advantage squarely in the hands of the hitter, in the hands of Whiskey Tango and Pete Rose. 2-0 advantage in the count. The pitch. Little blooper behind second, base hit. O'Rourke around third. He will score. And we have a brand new ball game in Maine. Fireworks. That is the power and danger of speed, ladies and gentlemen. A roster built for this ballpark, where singles become doubles, where failed double plays become scoring opportunities, and that's exactly what happened here tonight. O'Rourke able to beat out the double play, steal second base, and then score on a looping RBI single from Pete Rose. We are now tied at 3 here in a potentially clinching Game 5. Bottom 8, Maine Whiskey Tango now for their 5th consecutive inning get a highlight. And this one's going to start with Joe Morgan pinch hitting against Felix Hernandez. Down on the count, 0-2. Hernandez winds, Hernandez delivers. It's going to be a little dinker, going to be a tough play. Hernandez has it to throw to first, not in time! Infield single for Joe Morgan. And that's going to serve to put a speedy base runner on to lead off this home half of the 8th. Home crowd wants to go to the 9th with the lead. Very next batter is another pinch hitter. In comes Wade Boggs. Now, if you're the Fury, you see Wade Boggs and you see a ideal double play candidate. Joe Morgan and Ozzie Smith looking to team up to pull that off if they can just get a ground ball off the bat of Boggs here. 2-2 count. The pitch. Strike 3 called. A beautiful changeup from Felix Hernandez. With that fading motion, throws it at the body of Boggs. It breaks back into the zone. Boggs gave up on the pitch, and that's going to be a very crucial and important first out here in the 8th inning. Next up, Jackie Robinson. 1-2 count. The pitch. Ground ball, base hit, right field. Joe Morgan around second. He's thinking 3. The throw, not in time. Joe Morgan takes the extra base as this ball was hit very hard and directly at Willie Keeler. Fielded it on one hop, crow hopped, and fired a strike to third. But Joe Morgan didn't hesitate for a moment. And now the go-ahead run 90 feet away as Willie Keeler strides to the box. Keeler down on the count, 1-2. He's great at making contact. Will he be able to do so here? The infield is in and overshifted. We have 3 defenders to the right of second base here. Pivotal moment in Game 5. 1-2 count on Keeler. The pitch. Line drive, base hit, right field! Scoring easily is Morgan. Going first to third is Jackie. Trailing runner on the play is Keeler. He'll end up at second base. 4-3 Whiskey Tango now, as they are applying the pressure inning after inning here to the Detroit Fury. It's now 4-3. The Detroit Fury have no choice but to play the infield in, trying to lock it at 4-3 as Bill Dickey steps in. The pitch. Blooper to right field, not too deeply hit. Making the play is Keeler. Throw home. They're going to try to score. Here comes Jackie. Here comes the play at the plate. Save! Jackie Robinson Robinson with a beautiful slide, evading the tag of Bill Dickey. Make it 5-3 Tango, and this place is hopping. A sacrifice fly for Bill Dickey and an all too important second run, an insurance run. They'll be going to the ninth up by at least 2. We go top 9 now. And Maine Whiskey Tango 1 out away from a PT22 Perfect League World Series championship. He is entrusting Pedro Martinez for that honor. We need the matchup analyzer for this one. It's Pedro Martinez. It's Paul Hines. You see the matchup in the bottom right corner of your screen. If this is any kind of out, the Tango are the champs. The Fury, they've got the tying run on deck in the form of Pete Rose. Frank Robinson looming in the hole. Series on the line, game on the line. Rock and fire for Pedro. Grounded to short. Jerry Davis on over to first in time. And Maine Whiskey Tango has won the World Series. A final score of 5-3 as the celebration unfolds out in front of home plate. The PT21 champ has become the PT22 champ and does so against one of the greatest, if not the greatest rosters in all of Perfect League in the Detroit Fury, and does so in 5 games. Some fireworks for Maine as we update our score bug. Pretty sure I said Jerry Davis there, not George Davis, but who's keeping track? So let's look at the box score and see what happened. What happened was an Epirixie performance from Detroit that just couldn't withstand the never-ceasing pressure of Maine. We saw highlights in every inning from the 4th on to the 8th, and eventually Maine was able to break the door down as the Detroit Fury offense was not able to add to their existing lead. Now on the Maine side, despite having 2 unearned runs courtesy of an error by Buddy Bell, Felix Hernandez did well. 5 1/3, 7 hits, only 1 earned run, and then they handed it over to a bullpen that really got things done. Johan Santana, Pedro Martinez pair up for 3 2/3 innings of no hit, no run ball, including 5 strikeouts on their way to a World Series victory. Snaggle. Someone get Snaggle out of here. Let's go to the postseason coverage to see who our MVP is, and look at that. It is none other than Jim O'Rourke. Jim O'Rourke, a nice BABIP card.
BABIP.
Little call out for the BABIP emote there. And let's see what he did in the series. Jim O'Rourke goes 381 in the series, including 8 hits, one of them for 4 bases. He did hit that home run that enriched us with some perfect points for our hot seat member. 4 ribbies, and OPS right around 1,000 for Jim O'Rourke. He also stole the base. Stole that base earlier in this game when Pete Rose was able to tie it up with that looping single to center field. So Jim O'Rourke earning his first ever Perfect League World Series MVP. A very interesting card. If you haven't seen it before, here is what it looks like. Jim O'Rourke is a card that gives you a ton of contact, gives you a ton of speed, and also gives you some defensive versatility. Coming with stock defense at catcher, first base, third base, left field, center field, right field. I think if Snaggle were on, he'd be saying the word Sprinks right now, but I try not to steal other people's bits. I personally play my Jim O'Rourke in left field as I like that 91 position rating there. But you could likely get away with him spending some time in more positions than that. So let's take one final look at our playoff tree before we raid on over to Dish. Dish, confirm in the chat that you're in a position where you're ready for a raid, and we'll tee that up as we close things out here. Here's the final bracket, guys. We have Maine Whiskey Tango coming out on top, winning that World Series in 5 games over Detroit Fury. What a joy it was to call this World Series between two great managers that really know what they're doing. Two great team constructs that play well, that are tailored for their customized ballpark. If you're looking for someone to emulate, if you're looking for a couple of different managers to see what they're doing to help inform some of the things that you're doing, you can look in a lot worse directions than the Detroit Fury and Maine Whiskey Tango. One heck of a series. I'm honestly shocked that we didn't end up going to Game 6 and Game 7. I would guess that 9 times out of 10 where you put the Tango up against the Fury, you're getting at least 6 games out of it. And more often than not, you're probably going 7. You see the Naperville Nomads in there. Naperville Nomads getting swept in the second round. Yep. That's all right. Tonight's not about me. Tonight's about Maine Whiskey Tango. If this was your first time joining the broadcast tonight, I'd love it if you click the old follow button. Make sure you click the notification bell so you know on future Sundays when the World Series is live. This is not a stream where we can just pick a time and then launch then, because we don't know when the World Series is going to start. It's completely dependent upon how quickly the prior rounds finish up. If we go to 7 in the prior rounds, then we're going to go longer. If we don't, we're going to go shorter. But if this was your first time joining us, make sure you make a habit of it. Make sure you come next weekend. And if you did not fill out a bracket, you need to be doing that. There is no better opportunity to pick up easy and free perfect points than the bracket itself. So let's go ahead and update that and see who ended up winning. All right, so we had Maine Whiskey Tango versus Detroit Fury. Maine Whiskey Tango coming out on top. Now, how many runs were in our final game? That is our tiebreak, and it was 8 runs. We will click save, and we will view the standings. Winning, we have Waddy 3. Waddy 3 coming out with 50,000 perfect points. We've got Gorgo 2005 placing as well. Congratulations to our winners. Great job on the bracket. And again, for anyone who is unfamiliar with the bracket, it's just like your March Madness college basketball bracket. All you got to do is pick the winners. And frankly, the Perfect League playoffs is random enough where if you know absolutely nothing about any of the teams, strategies, park builds, anything about this game, you're not really at a disadvantage because they're pretty darn random from week to week. So what you need to do is you need to keep your eye on my Discord, on the main Discord, between Saturday night at midnight and between Sunday morning at 11:15 when the brackets close. And that is when you can fill out your bracket. And if you're not a Discorder, if you don't go there, if that's not your jam, that's fine too. if you just go to bracket-world.com, I'll put the link in the chat here. If you go to bracket-world.com, between that time period, the bracket's going to be sitting there for you to join, for you to sign up. So definitely check that out. If you didn't do that, the winner gets 50,000, guys, 50,000 perfect points. Second place gets 20, third place gets 10. No reason not to do it. It takes no more than 30 seconds to fill out, unless you want to really get analytical about it, and then end up just picking max checks anyway. All right, guys, thanks for joining the broadcast tonight. It was a blast to bring you the coverage. I'm now going to send you guys on over to Dish for some weekly prep. Make sure you support him and support all the other streamers from the now defunct stream team. We love streaming for you guys, and we love bringing you guys this content, and your support is what makes it all possible. So with that said, I will do the raid that I'm still not that familiar with. Here we go, ready to raid in 10 seconds. We're building our raid. We are getting ready to raid party. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for spending what little of it you did with me, and we'll see you next week.